of his party.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I also want to raise the issue of the Building Community Resilience report by Dr John Connolly. And I thought it was interesting that it said that just over 1% of people in that community were involved in this criminal activity. I think that's an important lesson, because I think this report reflects many other communities around the country in a similar position that are often termed as gangland. It isn't. It's a tiny proportion of people that are involved in this and that need to get a targeted response. And in respect of that targeted response, Taoiseach, one of the things that has happened since 2008 to 2014, every year there was a cut in the funding to the Drugs Task Force. And since 2014 there has been a freeze in the money that the Drug Task Force get. So while we can't freeze rents, it seems we can freeze the money that we give to Drug Task Force. And that, I think, is a lesson that we need to respond to. And clearly the Building Community Resilience report states that a lot of this is down to putting the targeted response in the right place. And I would invite the Taoiseach to today make a commitment from Government that the funding will be restored to the Drugs Task Force, and that we will ensure that these communities get the kind of funding that they require, and also that we will see the type of community policing response that is required in these communities to give confidence to the ordinary people out there who are afraid at the moment to ring the Gardaí when they see these kind of activities happening.
Thanks. Well, first of all, I think the Deputy makes a very valid point that the report shows that only about 1% of people in these communities are involved in gangland crime, which is why we shouldn't use the term gangland, including me, because 1% of the community is a very small minority, and using terms like gangland potentially demonises and casts aspersions on an entire community, 99% of whom are hard-working, law-abiding people. So I think we should all try to avoid using that term, and I'd ask the media to avoid using that term as well. You're correct to say that the budgets for the Drugs Task Forces were reduced up to 2014. And have been held at that level since. This is something that Minister Byrne is working on at the moment. She does have some reports on reviews done into drugs task forces that indicate that in some cases there are problems with governance in drugs task forces, and in some cases money has been spent on projects that are actually not about tackling drugs or alcohol addiction, and we do have concerns about that. So we need to make sure that we sort out those issues before increasing budgets again. You should see the reports.